Hi everyone, my name is Sahara Rose DeVore. I am the owner of Sahara Rose Travels and the founder of the Travel Coach Network. I wanted to take some time to share with you guys my story, my journey, what inspired me to become a travel coach and start the Travel Coach Network, and what travel coaching even means to me. So, little bit of a backtrack. I grew up as an only child with a single mom, and traveling seemed so far out of reach for someone in my circumstance. It seems like I needed to be a millionaire to be able to travel to the places that I saw on television and that I admired in magazines. But I always had this internal wanderlust to be able to go and explore this world that seemed so much bigger than I was. So when my third year of university, I struggled for a long time to really figure out what my ideal career path was, what my passions and my purpose were. And so I knew that with my interest in travel, I wanted to enroll in a travel and hospitality program. So I did in my third year of college. And it was in that program that I was really inspired by a lot of the foreign exchange students to be able to, really go and see the world and how doable it was. And at that time, I had only traveled to just a few countries, Mexico and Canada, where my grandparents were from. But I was so young, I barely even remember those trips. And then one time I also traveled with my mom to an all-inclusive resort in Dominican Republic, but that really didn't count too much for me because we were so isolated from having any real cultural experience during our time there. So I really didn't feel as well traveled as I really wanted to be. And I was really envious of what everyone else's stories and how many places they had traveled to were that I met in my class. So I decided, I made a pact with myself that very first day of my international tourism class that I was going to figure out a way to travel the world. And boy, did I. I shifted my mindset when it came to how I made money and how I saved and managed my money. And over 2 years, I was able to save enough money after graduating from university. And that summer, I packed a bag for my very first trip, and not knowing what I was going to get myself into, but I knew that I wanted to create a lifestyle for myself that really was in tune with what I wanted out of life. I didn't want to climb the corporate ladder and do the things that were supposed to be done or expected to be done from society and from my family. I wanted to live a life that really aligned with what I wanted. But even though I was only just graduating from university, I didn't know what I wanted out of life yet. So I packed that bag and I set off to Western Europe on my very first trip, expecting to spend time and come back and find a job. And I fell in love with travel. Fast forward after that, I spent 10 years, almost a decade, over a decade, traveling to more than 84 countries. On my own as a solo budget backpacker. And throughout that journey, I was really blessed to be able to travel during a prime phase in the travel industry. And when I say that, it's because I was really thrown into a world traveling that was very different from what it is today. The tools, resources, technology, apps, websites, everything that's accessible today didn't exist back then. I remember traveling with a flip phone that barely turned on internationally and asking people in another language what time it was and walking up to accommodations to see if they had room versus making bookings at advance and doing everything the old school way, having a map to walk around town to find my location and having to engage with people to actually get to know and ask them questions and ask for help. Versus nowadays, when we have every tool, app, everything at our fingertips, that makes travel advice and travel planning and everything a lot more easy and accessible. So I was really blessed to travel during this time. Prime phase of the industry because it made me learn. It opened my eyes to so much. I learned what was happening in the travel industry, what was trending, what people use, what people like, what stuck, what didn't stay, what problems existed, what problems I ran into, what voids existed. I backed that with even more research that I dove into to figure out what else is happening in the travel industry outside of my own world, outside of what I'm exposed to. So I learned things about what's happening in the corporate world, what's happening in the business travel world, what's happening in the travel agent world. What problems exist? What trends are there? What is everyone doing? What people are not doing? And I meshed that with what I learned throughout my travels. Another key piece of that time that I spent traveling, which during that 10 years of travel, was that there was the rise in the internet, the rise in social media, the rise in Instagram and Facebook and blogging and influencers and this whole new world of remote work opportunities and digital nomads. So I took everything I was learning about the travel industry and meshed it with what I was learning about today's culture, today's workforce, and found the problems that existed and said there's more to travel than what is already being done or acknowledged. So, for instance, what I mean by that is I realized that not only what travel was doing for myself and how it was helping me with my own anxiety and mental health issues and helping me find my own purpose and answers in life I was looking for, especially being so young and trying to figure out what direction I wanted in life, who I wanted to be in life, and what mattered to me. But I was also learning what travel was doing for other people. I realized everyone travels for such unique reasons, deeper reasons than what we really talk about. A lot of times we often say we're going on a vacation because we want to just lay on the beach and soak in the sun, but there's really a deeper level of why people travel. We turn to travel for such specific reasons as human beings that we're not always in tune to. For instance, there's a lot of times we turn to travel for things like a terrible breakup in our life, or something tragic happened, or a death in our family or a loved one, or just really taking time to soul search, or feeling lost in life, or maybe you're not in line with your passion and your purpose in life, or maybe your marriage is struggling and you travel to strengthen that bond, and maybe it's a relationship with one of your children and you want to spend time with them. So everyone books these trips and goes on these trips for a lot more meaningful reasons than what we're in tune to. And I back that with the research that I've done, that I found there's been decades and decades of research being done on the wellness benefits that travel has on the mind, body, the soul, and also in the workplace, how it can boost your creativity and your productivity. And I found it really interesting that a lot of people and companies in the industry is not using this information, this research, this data that exists, and they're not getting in tune with why people are actually traveling. Things that I was doing hands-on for so long, asking people why, about their journey, why they're traveling, what traveling was doing for them, what kind of transformations were they getting, and how are they applying that to the life when they get home. How do they apply that to their overall well-being? And what people were looking for when it comes to jobs, when it comes to travel, or travel benefits in any company. So I was really inspired to create the Travel Coach Network because I knew that there was a certain level of questions that I can answer when it came to traveling, as a blogger myself and a traveler. And I would have so many people over the years reach out asking for travel information, travel tips and advice, which I absolutely love to talk about. But then there would be times that I would be limited on my who I could actually help because I didn't have a specific perspective or experience. So for instance, I would have people, my specialty is budget, solo female backpacker. I could talk about things about safety and a whole wide range of things, budgeting, finances, empowerment and confidence and all these things. But there would be people would come to me and ask me, hey, I am a solo female of African American descent, or maybe I'm Muslim, or I am retiring from my career and I am 55 years old and I have a little bit more money to spend and more time to spend. And these are people who would ask me specific questions and I didn't have a specific answers for them, but I knew there was a whole world of people I'd met traveling who did have these answers, who did have similar stories, who did have expertise in these areas. So I wanted to be able to bridge that gap for people, for the people who were the travel experts and the knowers, to the people who were the dreamers and wanting to do the travel. But when I started my travel coaching business a little less than 2 years ago, I realized that the travel coaching was not as prevalent as, even today that it is. There's a lot more acknowledgement about travel coaching and talk about the powers of travel and transformative travel and all these buzzwords that integrate with travel coaching. So I wanted to really bring the forefront of the power that travel had on people's lives, and how not only their lives but also on their careers. There's so much more to tap into when it comes to travel and how we help people and how people travel than what's already being done. And that's where I apply things for corporate wellness and business travel well-being and travel agent trainings under my unique travel coach approach framework that I've created, which focuses on things like empowerment and education, hyper personalization and transformative experiences, and the mindset, and a few more points. So if you're ever interested in learning more about that, you can find that under my Travel Coach Network website. Or send me a message. I'm happy to talk to you about my framework. But I really wanted to be able to inspire people to dig deeper when it comes to travel and utilize travel as a tool to improve overall well-being, and improve and boost your work performance and your productivity, because there's a lot more in life that travel can do for us that helps us thrive than just using it as a vacation or maybe a perk in your workplace that people really don't utilize. There's a whole world of problems when it comes to corporate wellness and travel policies in the workplace and people not utilizing their travel vacation time. And there's a whole burnout epidemic of business travelers not being able to really utilize the wellness benefits that travel has on people, and how they can actually use their travel experiences to be better in their professional life and be better in their personal life too. So that's essentially what I created in my business and the Travel Coach Network, and my mission to be able to that I'm really, really looking forward to impacting the lives of even more people and inspiring more people to utilize travel as a tool to boost their overall well-being, and to help them in and out of the workplace, and for companies to really open their eyes and realize that travel is a key ingredient to overall company success and employee satisfaction, and in retention and everything and thriving, so that to take it off the back burner and put it into the forefront of a key staple for any business traveler or corporate well-being program. But really also as a travel coach and my Travel Coach Network itself, to grow this community of travel coaches who all specialize in their own areas and areas of expertise when it comes to travel, and really dig deep and utilize their travel stories to be able to create and sculpt a career that really aligns with their passions for travel, and to help them stand out, because there's a lot more to the travel industry than the careers and jobs that are already being done by digital nomads and in this online space. And being able, there's a lot more people to help and benefit from travel in such unique ways that resonates with us as travel coaches. So if you are someone who is interested in becoming a travel coach, or you're interested in hiring me as your travel coach for your corporation, or interested in any of my programs, you can find all the information here on my website, or you can email me, sahararose@gmail.com, and follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, Sahara Rose Travels, or the Travel Coach Network. I just want you to join me on this journey to optimizing travel when it comes to your overall well-being, both in and outside of the workplace, and shifting the mindset when it comes to travel and how it can be used to benefit us and make the world and our lives so much better, because it's something that we all turn to, but really have yet to really tap into its highest potential. So yeah, I am really excited to have you guys here. Thank you so much for hearing my story, and I would love to connect with you. So see you soon.